to the movies. Yay!
We saw The Courier starring Benedict Cumberbatch, who you might know as Sherlock Holmes.
Or Doctor Strange.
I bet the real-life character would have wished he was Doctor Strange, given the ordeal he went through. Hence, but he was not.
That's a spoiler.
The Courier is based on true events of a British businessman who served as a courier between Britain and somehow the United States was involved, between them and the Soviet Union at the time. And this was around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, which I don't know a lot of the history about, but there was a gentleman from the Soviet Union who was integral in getting documents. You know, he was served as a spy for the United States and Britain, getting documents out so that those two countries knew more of what was going on, and it helped to, keep the Cuban Missile Crisis from
they
happening.
had to basically, the information that person shared is how the United States learned of the missiles that the Soviet Union had put in Cuba and led to the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? But also led to the Soviets removing that base.
Right.
So, it's based on a true story. And Rachel, you love things that are based on true stories. Our life is based on a true story.
I do like things that are based on a true story. So let's just
jump right in.
Go, wait, or skip.
Oh, again, I have not thought one iota. Not even like during the intro over here. I'm just like, it's so weird how I live my life.
I'm going to say wait. My thing is I'm going to say wait on this movie because I do think it was a good movie. I came back home and read the History versus Hollywood thing and was good with that. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch did a great job. I don't think it was like a life-changing movie. So we also last year watched the movie A Hidden Life, which was about similar circumstances, but that movie is one of my top movies of all time. It was just, but this
definitely not that movie.
Yeah, this was done really well, so I think if you get a chance to see it, you should definitely see it.
I think I'm going to be a little kinder, just a little softer, maybe.
Okay.
I'm going to say go see this movie. While it's not like the best movie I've ever seen, I did enjoy watching the movie, and I thought that it was made well. It took me to a place that I'm not that familiar with, which I always like. The characters in the movie, I understood. The acting in the movie was good. The plot was interesting. And it kept me engaged the whole time.
It did the same for me, too. So I don't know that there's really spoilers with this movie, but I'll say spoilers just because I am going to tell you about the History versus Hollywood.
Let's learn about it.
And maybe not everybody wants to know about that. I would say I went and read the History versus Hollywood, and essentially the character that Benedict Cumberbatch plays and the Russian counterpart, the guy from the Soviet Union who was a traitor to his country, but helped the United States and Britain, what kind of went on, basically the essence of the movie was true. You know, so I think, and I appreciate that because I understand that when you make a movie, you need to add it needs to be engaging, you need to add some drama, and I thought they did that in the right places. So, there was a character added to the movie, it was the United States CIA person. She was in the movie, but, she was a composite of many different people who worked to help with this specific thing that was going on. So, overall, I'd say, I was really okay with the changes that they made, you know?
I'll say learning from what I never rushed to learn what really happened, but Rachel did. And one of the things you told me was that the ending of the movie that we got was pretty uplifting. But the real ending of the movie of life, not as uplifting.
Well, yeah. So
but that's everybody dies, guys. And things happen in life.
Right, things happen. So, and they didn't,
Hollywoodized it.
You probably would have hoped that he got home to his family and they lived happily ever after. Well, that didn't happen in real life. I'm sure he came home from his family and I hope it was an emotional, stirring reunion. And it said that he actually struggled a lot in his life. That his transition from living in a prison for 2 years, not just any prison. He was convicted by the KGB in Russia or in the Soviet Union and lived in those kind of conditions for the time that he did. His transition back to his regular life wasn't super smooth and easy. So the History versus Hollywood said that he struggled with depression and then alcoholism.
Which makes sense. This movie, though, I thought that this movie I enjoyed watching it, kept me engaged, but it did bring to light my own personal opinions about the goings on in the movie, where I was like, like this guy that you even called him a traitor, so now he gets called a traitor. He did this thing which we want to look at as a positive thing, but his own country, like, they killed him over that, right?
Right, yeah.
And who didn't help him? Well, the people that he was helping. So I'm saying that, like...
Britain and the United States didn't bust him out.
That's some rough stuff.
His family lived... It said that they... On the movie said they
got buried in an unmarked grave.
Yeah, and that his family was just... lived their life quietly.
Man.
His wife and... actually, his wife was... in the movie, she was pregnant. The History vs. Hollywood didn't get into those kind of details.
I just feel bad for people when... life can end up that way over, I don't know.
Well, it can, but on the other hand, sometimes people make sacrifices to do what they believe is right. And that's what this person did.
That's what this movie's about.
And he did that because for him to be in integrity, he couldn't just turn a blind eye to it, and he couldn't continue serving the government that he worked for. So he did, essentially what he had to do for himself to live in integrity.
What it brings up for me was I was like, governments and, what is going on, people? The whole thing seems so absurd to me.
MI6 and the CIA and how
governments in general. Why do we have all these nuclear... the whole... it's...
Oh, and we've got to do this because it makes... it has the appearance of this.
Then you've got, the state, all the people, all the KGBs, spying on them and, all this stuff. That's crazy to me. So I wish that life didn't have to be that way back then and arguably probably today, too. I think it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's unnecessary when people could just live their, be.
But it's hard. We talked about this on the way home because it reminded me of Raya The Last Dragon. It's hard to trust other people because sometimes they hurt you. And then nobody trusts anybody. And then everybody's just trying to serve their best interest. And you end up in situations like this. But it's hard to just be like, you know what? We're not going to have nuclear weapons. We're just going to...
I've noticed also as well that somebody has been bringing up Team Zissou a lot.
I know.
Raya The Last Dragon. And yet somehow
I did not...
A movie you did enjoy, but a movie you did not give a go to.
That's correct.
But you have brought it up, not even just on our show, in everyday life. You've used it as it's like in that movie.
I said in our review for Raya The Last Dragon that it had a profound message in a so-so wrapper.
I just feel
was my
but
opinion.
You enjoyed it. Come on.
So-so
let's
wrapper.
change it. Go see Raya.
The other thing I would say about the movie The Courier...
Is it called Raya?
The movie The Courier is that I didn't grow up during this time, and it helped me to understand what it might have been to grow up in the early 60s and have that fear of a nuclear war. And I recently read a book called A Canticle for Leibowitz, which was the aftermath of a worldwide nuclear war that kind of destroyed everybody. And I was like, man, that must have been really terrifying to live during that time.
Yeah.
Because these were things really happening. So it did help me to understand a time period that is very close to me. The 60s is not that long ago, but yet I was really unfamiliar with it.
Yeah. Beatles good, nuclear holocaust bad.
Yeah. But so that's the movie The Courier. And that's it. I never know how to end these.
Hey, we appreciate you
tuning in. Thanks, guys.
Bye.